So welcome to another panel session in this 2021 Virtual Accra SDG Investment Fair on the theme, The Decade of Action, Accelerating Recovery and Revitalization. And my name is Bernard Abler. I'm a radio and TV journalist, CTFM in Ghana. And I'm very happy to have a knowledgeable panel to delve into a very important conversation around what enterprise support organizations can do to drive private sector investment into the SDGs. Our enterprise support organizations, we're talking about incubators, accelerators, hubs, business development providers, etc. Now, this ecosystem has been very key in supporting impact investing by helping to build a vibrant ecosystem. The government of Ghana has a very laudable agenda of targeting almost 500,000 people in decent employment. A lot of our people are employed in the informal sector. And there's an urgent need to grow MSMEs in Ghana to deliver jobs in this category. MSMEs constitute 92% of businesses and employ more than 80% of the workforce in Ghana and generate 70% of our GDP. This is a very important sector. But this panel will highlight some of our leading ecosystem providers to give us insight into the growth of the sector, challenges and opportunities for collaboration, and importantly, those who have money to invest, where to place your money to drive the SDG agenda. So let me welcome the panel. I have the CEO of Scale Up Africa, Amma Jampo. Amma, welcome to this panel.
Thank you, Bernard.
Thank you for joining. We also have the CEO of Impact Investing Ghana, Amma Latte. Hello, Amma.
Hi, Bernard. Great to be here.
Thank you so much for joining. We also have the CEO of the Ghana Enterprise Agency, Kosi Yankee Aye. Kosi, welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Fantastic. And I have the CEO of InnoHub, who's Nelson. Amo Nelson, welcome.
Thank you, Bernard. Hope you're doing well.
I'm great. And last but not least, we have Amos Odero, who is with the MasterCard Foundation. Amos, welcome.
Thank you, Bernard. Happy to be part of the conversation.
Fantastic. Maybe let me start with Amma Jampo. So in a couple of minutes, tell us who you are and what you do at Scale Up Africa.
Thanks, Bernard. Good morning, everyone, or good day to everyone watching. Scale Up Africa is basically a women-led communications, talent, and entrepreneurship advisory firm. We support African brands, mainly corporations and even governments, to connect and deliver on social and financial impact for women, for youth and entrepreneurs. And we do that through partnerships, innovation, ecosystem building activities, and social business models that are connected and intended to sustain themselves after our intervention ends. So we're very much around, creating a tighter ecosystem. We collaborate quite closely with some of the people here on the call today, some of the other panelists. I'm also a co-founder of, a founding member of Impact Investing Ghana, and I advise some of the other, companies and governments on, entrepreneurship, innovation, gender, youth engagement, including our very own Ministry of Youth and Sports on their gender and youth economic empowerment initiatives. MasterCard is also a partner to us, or we're a partner to them, supporting their Young Africa Works program. And again, it's really about the technical advisory, the capacity building and support services required to help more SMEs recover from COVID, of course, at the moment, which is top of our agenda, and really to create more jobs and equality for women in particular through our activities. So that's us in a nutshell. And our sectors include agribusiness, technology, and manufacturing.
You certainly are busy. Thank you, Amma, for making to be on this panel. Amma, you're the CEO of Impact Investing Ghana. Tell us what that means and what else you do.
So Impact Investing Ghana is an initiative to drive financing for MSMEs primarily. Impact investing is when you invest intentionally for both a financial return, but also an intentional social or environmental impact. And as an organization providing jobs, ensuring there's financing for MSME development, and that this financing is inclusive, that it results in reducing inequalities and delivering basic services, especially to the most vulnerable, is what we focus on. And we are a collaborative mechanism. We bring together all the financial services sectors, banking, venture capital, insurance, pushing all these sectors to have an inclusive view and to have products and services that result in increased investments that have a very clear and measurable social impact, as well as a financial return. And so we have a number of initiatives that we are driving to unlock capital locally and internationally for businesses.
Fantastic, thank you. Kosi, please tell us a bit about the Enterprises Agency and what else you do as CEO.
Okay, so once again, thanks for having us. My name is Kosi Yankee Aya. I'm the Chief Executive Officer for the Ghana Enterprises Agency. I like to see myself as really the chief servant supporting MSMEs and entrepreneurs across the nation. The Ghana Enterprises Agency is an agency, a government agency under the Ministry of Trade and Industry. It was set up specifically to provide support and promote the development of MSMEs and entrepreneurs across the nation. It was really also set up specifically to ensure that job creation and wealth creation is at the agenda, the top of the agenda for government. So our work really is cut out for us based on the act that really is mandating us to do the work that we do. The support cuts across from micro, small, and medium enterprises. We have 190 offices across the nation. We have 37 business resource centers, and we are in all the regions across the nation providing business development service support to the doorsteps of Ghanaians, looking and ensuring that both rural, urban, peri-urban dwellers, youth, women, and men who need support to build their existing businesses, who need support to start existing businesses, have the right resources, or we are able to really bring on board partnerships, stakeholders who would assist in building the supports that is needed by a lot of these MSMEs or persons who are interested in developing their businesses across the nation.
Fantastic. We look forward to hearing more about what you've been doing with some of the programs announced by the government. Nelson, you are the CEO of InnoHub. Sounds like a nice name, Inno, Innovation and a Hub. Tell us about what you do there.
Hi, Bernard. Thank you for having me. Good day, everyone. And good day to whoever is part of this conversation. So my name is Nelson Amo. We are InnoHub, and we're essentially an innovation hub. And our focus and our story is the fact that you have a lot of MSMEs and startups in the country struggling to pursue clear growth paths. They're struggling to really achieve set growth objectives, impact objectives. They're struggling to raise funding from potential investors. At the same time, you have holders of capital who struggle to really find the right business to get funding in. And we basically sit in the middle where we support these businesses to grow, to define clear growth paths, really define clear impact paths as well. We have a big interest in the bottom line, people, planet, and shared prosperity. And how do we go through that? And as we support these businesses get to that stage, we help them to unlock capital from investors as well, who are looking to put their funding in that. We're also part of the impact investing GA because we believe that it is a very potent tool to drive growth of businesses and to drive funding into the Ghanaian ecosystem. And we're happy to be a part of this conversation, looking at how best enterprise organizations could really be activated to do their work better. Thank you.
Thank you, Nelson. Let me end this round with Amos. So tell us about the MasterCard Foundation and what you do here in Ghana.
Thank you, Bernard. My name is Amos Odero, lead Regional Strategy and Planning at MasterCard Foundation. The foundation has over 10 years of experience supporting programs working on financial inclusion and education for young people in Africa. The foundation brought together all these programming areas to address the challenge of youth unemployment in Africa through supporting enterprises to grow and create jobs, as well as enabling young people to have market-relevant skills in key growth sectors using a country approach. In Ghana, which is one of the countries where the foundation for over the last 10 years has had one of the largest commitments, we launched Young Africa Works in Ghana with a goal to enabling 3 million young people, majority of them young women, to gain access to meaningful and dignified work opportunities. We did this with an approach of supporting entrepreneurship, especially women entrepreneurship or entrepreneurship that engages or benefits women, leveraging technology, but also making sure that the education sector or young people come up with market relevant skills. With our reimagined Young Africa Works in Ghana strategy, we are even sharpening our focus to look at agriculture and agriculture adjacent sectors using a value chain approach to address the challenges or the root causes of barriers to meaningful work opportunities for young people. And we are happy to implement and deliver on this strategy with partners such as other panelists on the call, the Ghana Enterprises Agency, InnoHub, Scale Up Africa, and other local organizations in Ghana.
Fantastic. Thank you, Amos, and thank you, everybody else. So that gives us a good understanding of the various roles all of you play in this. Now, the government of Ghana, through the Ghana Cares program, is targeting creating 420,000 productive and decent employment in the formal sector between this year and 2023. So that means about 140,000 new formal sector jobs each year. Now, the MSMEs are the engines through which these jobs will come. So my question to you is, what is the most important thing, one or two important things that needs to be done to support MSMEs to deliver these jobs, right? Because these jobs will come from MSMEs. So let me start with Amma Jampo. Tell me, I want bullet points, one or two key things that urgently needs to be done to support MSMEs deliver these new jobs in the next couple of years.
Thanks, Bernard. I think first of all, some of us are guilty of backing really bad ideas, and we talk about startups and ideas. Some of them are doomed to fail from the beginning. So I think the first thing is really to help entrepreneurs, existing and newcomers, to identify growth industry opportunities. So that means, we need to do our research and data and put that information out there so that if you're in business or, in the SME sector, you can have a better idea of the areas that are likely to succeed and allow you to employ more people, be more profitable, etc. So that's the opportunity, growth opportunity part of the conversation, as well as the individual themselves. So most of our SMEs are obviously survival entrepreneurs, right? There are no jobs, so they're just getting into the SME space, formally or informally, to just keep the lights on and feed their families. So we need to get better at developing skills at that level to identify, what kind of person are you, what kind of traits do you have, just to signpost them again to the right kind of opportunities for them to have a better chance of succeeding to manage their businesses. So that's where the technical support and, psychometric testing and all these things become more relevant. And I think the third thing is obviously the funding conversation. As ecosystem support organizations, we definitely need to move away from the short-term programmatic focus and try and talk to our funders and supporters to help us to grow our own capacity as ecosystem support organizations. So it's a money conversation as well. We need more money, longer-term funding to enable us to deliver the services that we deliver. One of our clients the other day said to me, she's on a program. I've been supporting her for 3 months on a program as a mentor. And she specifically said, all the structuring and support she's received so far, she never could have afforded it, without the support of, I think this was the EU and SNV, the Dutch agency, to enable her to really structure her business, take time to really mentor her, just fill in the gaps, help her problem solve. It's a long-term relationship. So we can't be having, short, sharp training activities. Training ends and we have far too many entrepreneurs walking through what we call the valley of death. You go through a program or incubation and you fall off a cliff. You go through incubation, you fall off a cliff. We need longer-term support to bridge that gap and enable us to do our work to support them longer term to grow the businesses and create the jobs.
So I've heard research to identify the right areas, obviously technical support, and then money.
So the right kind of money.
The right kind of money. Amma, I know you deal with a lot of things, including money. You are the CEO of Impact Investing. So take it up from there. What else, or how do you qualify some of the things Amma has said?
Yeah. So I'll take the money angle, but now talk about financing for businesses themselves.
Okay.
Interest rates in Ghana are very high. They are double-digit interest rates. It's almost impossible to use loan financing to grow a business. And this is established MSMEs who have good cash flow and are looking for financing to grow the business. Mm-hmm. And as for startups, this kind of financing is not appropriate, even if the interest rates were realistic. They need more patient capital. After you've exhausted family and friends, you're bootstrapping, you have some traction. There are good enterprises that could, with patient capital, deliver on these jobs. And so there's a need for us to have an integrated strategy to ensure that the financing that business needs is available. And also it's smart financing. It's financing that understands what they need to do to grow the business. And we think that venture funds provide a great opportunity for this to happen. We think that pairing financial support with support programs offered by all our eminent panelists are very effective ways to drive that. And what we are working on at Impact Investing Ghana is really galvanizing catalytic capital that can help unlock more market capital for this. So for example, our pension industry has $30 billion of assets under management. What can we do to galvanize that industry to see the economic benefits? Because it's not just about about social and environmental impact. It's also about a good financial return for investors. And we believe that once those models have been proven, once that catalytic capital goes in and attracts other funding to come in, that we'll begin to see a higher volume of financing going to businesses that deserve it, that qualify.
Fantastic. So since you've dealt with the money part, I will jump to Nelson before I come back to Kosi, because Kosi will give me some more insight into other things. Nelson, I suspect you do a lot of technical support, a lot of research, a lot of capacity building. Just give me some insight into what we need to do to get our MSMEs ready, because it's a big target we've set for ourselves. And I'm speaking a bit about money. So I want you to focus on the non-money aspects of preparation of our MSMEs.
Okay. Thank you very much. I would want to leverage on the point made by the first two AMAs and add on that. So especially looking at AMA chapter 1, who talks about the various things that need to be done, I would want to add on a new thinking that she's part of a team I'm working with as well. Looking at what we call the enterprise value chain approach to supporting MSMEs. Typically, you have various programs designed in silos. So I stay in my office, I designed this program for these same MSMEs. Party B does same, Party C does same. And we all running these same programs. And what we noticed was that they go to the program in Party A. When they are done, they hop onto Party B's program. And sometimes at the same time that they are at Party A, they are also participating in Party B and applying to Party C. And so most of them really spend their time and their days as entrepreneurs, running, doing program stopping or program hopping rather than building the business. So we're looking at an evaluation approach where we know that Party A has a very core strength in this, and they're going to do that for them. And then Party A knows that there is a clear hand-holding mechanism where I know that once I'm done, I could point them to Party B and say, if you go to this place, this other component could be done for you. And before we start looking at those with the capital who can invest in them, typically you have some of them left mid-sea, and they are left to drown because they couldn't get the right person to continue the kind of support from them. So we're really advocating for a more collaborative approach to supporting MSMEs, very different from, say, what I am structuring for them in my place. if I am running accelerator programs, can there be clear incubator partnerships who know that once I support this kind of business, I could rally them and then match them to the accelerator. And I know that when I'm done, there is somebody who is very strong at coaching, somebody who is very strong at making them dual ready, and I can match them to that kind of person. And from there, that kind of person will support them to get to the next step in the roadmap that they seek to do. This is one of the key things that we need to be talking about now in the ecosystem, and how we could make sure that people just don't hop from place to place for support, and sometimes they come to a place thinking they can get money, and that money is not there. But once there's clearly defined layers of support that ABC are doing or offering to these MSMEs, it becomes much easier for them to pick these items. And then when you go to another place, you don't waste time going through the same business model canvas again, but they are building on something else like a growth strategy for your business. And the next place would be, how do you build your finance decks and make sure somebody can put money in you. That way, we could see a little more traction than what we have in the ecosystem.
Fantastic. Kosi, you are the CEO of the Ghana Enterprises Agency. A lot depends on what you do. Give me a sense of what you've been prioritizing since you took over as a key entry point into what the three have already discussed. Because I'm not going to ask you what should be done. I'm going to ask you what you are doing, because the president has given you a very clear mandate, right? So tell us about what you've prioritized since you took over, and how that prepares our MSMEs to deliver the jobs that we want to deliver.
So since I took over, I think this was about 4 years ago, what we've really prioritized is job creation. I mean, at the end of the day, it's about creating jobs and creating the opportunity for people to be gainfully employed and dignified jobs. And that's the key word we've been aligned with. And so based on that, we decided that then we needed the right partnerships. So one of our main focus has been what kind of partnership would help us achieve the goals that we set for ourselves as institutions. So for us, we looked at people, organizations and partnerships such as MasterCard Foundation. Amos is a very good friend, whether he likes it or not, because we've been working so closely together. But it's important. You know, most people think that it's just having any type of partnership, but it's key to have the right type. People who understand the mandate, people who understand the bottom line, and people who would work with you to achieve the goals of creating employment. And that's what we've been able to do. So the partnership is one aspect of it. Now, another thing that we've been able to do, and we've been working on to achieve this, was really to come up with a policy and a guideline for implementation. And that policy and guideline was the MSME and entrepreneurship policy, which was designed and developed and was really spearheaded by the Ministry of Trade and Industry to ensure that we actually had a plan for execution. Most often you realize that people talk about, let's go and create jobs. Let's support MSMEs. How do you do that when you don't even have a plan, or you don't even have a policy backing what it is that you intend to do? And so one key thing and one fundamental thing was to come up with this policy, which would actually allow us to focus on certain areas and have cross-cutting issues such as gender, such as local economic development, such as access to finance, to deliver, to bring about the changes we want to see. The other thing we also looked at was access to information. In all the conversations that I've had, and people say, how do we create this? And how are we going to create the number of jobs that we're talking about? And we always make the mistake of not realizing, how do we even identify who these MSMEs are before you even go from there to the next level? And so with partners such as MasterCard Foundation, one of the things we're working on currently is really identifying where some of these productive MSMEs are in the nation. Right? We have a database, but we also really want to see, where are they? Who are they? What are the needs and the challenges? To be able to identify and get the understanding of that, you would realize, and we've realized, that they are the first call of job creation. We don't need to create, the first level is, what are the MSMEs that already exist within the ecosystem? Understanding and seeing where they are. They also have needs to employ people. And if you realize or remember the government's NAPCO program, which was in alignment with finding jobs for the youth, once those were embedded within institutions such as ours, what we also did was we actually embedded them also in MSMEs. And you realize that then the MSMEs come up and say, oh, wow, We've been looking for people to work with us. Where do we start from? How do we start from? And you also realize that then the youth are also not aware of where to find such resources or such networks to build their, to start or find employment. And so one of our major programs under our work with MasterCard Foundation, we have a job linkages. And the job linkages is really looking at our existing MSMEs and seeing what their needs and gaps are to fill that with people who need employment. So then you also address some of the issues. The other thing we're doing as the Ghana Enterprises Agency, which is also very important for us, is also to create these MSMEs. How do you create these MSMEs? And so if you pay attention to our setup and our new act, there's a strong importance and focus on decentralization of our district offices. We're currently in 190 of them. We have 37 business resource centers. 30 of them are coming up as well. And we're in all the regional offices, all the regional capitals. Now, what we intend to do with that is to become more accessible. So in most often, when you see situations like this, and Ghana's model is very, 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 very peculiar. We don't have the same model. You can't find this model in Nigeria. You can't find it in the other countries. It's very peculiar to us. And I think it's a beautiful model because what it does is that it takes business development services support into the doorstep of Ghanaians. So if you're in a rural area, as I mentioned earlier, in a peri-urban area, you don't need to come to Accra, Kumasi, Tamale, Techiman, Sunyani to access solutions. You have it in your districts. You have it there. It's close to you. You can actually access information. You can actually access different types of support to be able to build your businesses and say, I want to start a business. What does it take? The other things we've also been working on with partners such as MasterCard Foundation, as well as SNV, as well as the GIZs of the world, is really how do we also allow businesses that exist to accelerate their growth within a time frame that doesn't make them too reliant on you as an institution, where they can't keep going on without coming back to you. It's really a challenge. We need to be able to say at some point, you have to be on your own to create opportunity and more resources for others, and then create higher level support to build their capacity. So if you see the model that we have at Ghana Enterprises Agency, which is very innovative and very particular to Ghana, really we have acceleration programs where we've even partnered with the likes of JICA, designed an intervention based on what they have, the Kaizen, which is a continuous improvement program, which has allowed us, and for us in all our interventions, is one of the things that have helped us to be able to see sustained and intentional growth in MSMEs, where they build their capacity enough to be able to export, build the capacity enough to be able to even hire new resources and create that form of employment. Because if they're not growing, if the growth is not accelerating, then how then do they create that? And we have particular interventions such as that to do it. Another thing that we're doing at Ghana Enterprises Agency is resource mobilization. So yes, we have government support, and government has been able to support a lot. Last year, our interventions really target hundreds and thousands of people. In the past 4 years, we were able to target over 700,000 MSMEs. Well, out of these numbers, you're saying that what is the type of intervention that is seeing growth? And I'm really actually excited by the growth we see with it and how it's creating opportunity for job creation, because you're allowing them to have access to regulatory support that they've never seen before, bringing it to their doorstep. So one of the main interventions we've done with MasterCard Foundation, which really allowed us to actually pilot this, which is a very innovative, was work closely with Food and Drugs Authority to come up with a mechanism to actually graduate licensing of regulatory of facilities and products, which was always a challenge. And it was a challenge because people didn't know how to access these institutions. And the cost involved was so high. So what we then did, and what we continue to do, is to actually make inroads, grow stronger partnerships, and allow these MSMEs in Ghana, both new, old, and startups, to be able to access facilities and support that would help them to propel, to create jobs that we want to see in this nation.
Thank you, Kosi. Now, let me come to Amos. Your organization is amazing because when you started in 2006, you had only 3 employees. So in a sense, you are like a startup. Now you have worked with over 130 partners influence over 25 million people. So clearly you have something to say to us about how to grow as an SME, how to make impact, and more importantly, your approach currently in your Young Africa Works program is very ambitious. Just highlight the way you work and your reasoning for using the approach you use, particularly for those listening who are thinking about supporting SME in Ghana so they can learn from the MasterCard approach. Amos.
Thank you. And I totally agree with what everybody else has said. The first thing I would say is integration at the systems level of all the ecosystem actors. I say this because one of the challenges we see in the space is we have a lot of solutions. Everybody's trying to do something to support MSMEs to grow and create work opportunities. But we would achieve way more if there was coherence in our strategies, right? If we work together. And as a foundation, that's one of the key roles we play in the countries where we work in, right? So that role of the neutral broker, the convener, the facilitator, bringing various players at the systems level together, both government and private sector. So like Kosi has said in our partnership with Ghana Enterprises Agencies, through Ghana Enterprises Agencies, we've been able to work with the likes of Association of Ghana Industries, right? Artisans Association, mobilize groups at the grassroots level. This is important because then you're able to reach impact at scale, both in the urban areas, in the rural areas. And it also helps us do something that we realized was important if you're to sustainably address the recurrent problems that MSMEs face. And this is not treating them as a homogeneous group, right? But actually understanding them, understanding what are the challenges and opportunities of the various MSME segments, various stages of growth where they are, various value chains they operate in, and various places they're located in the country. And the only way to achieve that is working at a systems level rather than at a singular project approach. So this is one of the ways the foundation shifted in how we work as part of our Young Africa Work strategy. And if there's anything the pandemic has shown us, or at least has made very urgent, is the value of being agile and flexible. So as a foundation, we are very agile and responsive to not only continue iterating and testing on the solutions we are co-creating with communities, but also being able to quickly respond to challenges and crises. And Ghana, for example, when the pandemic happened and MSMEs needed that support, government, private sector, everybody else tried to see what they could do. And the foundation as well worked with Ghana Enterprises Agencies to see how can we best support MSMEs navigate the pandemic and build back better, while sustaining the existing jobs, but also creating new jobs. Something else we learned there, and is part of our strategic pillars, is there's always a question of cost of serving these segments because most of the existing providers don't see them as profitable, consider them risky. Are there innovative ways we can leverage technology that we still haven't addressed yet? And sometimes back to the role the foundation can play is what are the resources required to do that? What are the right kinds of partnerships and investments required to do that? So that's where we come in as a foundation and ensure that we are working with partners on the ground to ensure the sustainability, but also relevance of the solutions that we are trying to address. But always keeping young people at the center, the MSMEs at the center, and as part of our Young Africa Work strategy, 70% of our target is women. So we always keep that as the lens through which we look at the problem and the solutions we're trying to support.
Wow. Thank you. We appreciate this. I want to come back to money because at the end of the day, when I talk to young people, and in fact, I was on a panel last week and they were saying, look, a lot of the private companies are saying access to credit is still a big problem. We don't have money. All right. So what else do we need to know about raising money? Because if local capital is too expensive, we are not equity minded in Ghana. What type of money and how can we get good long-term money from external sources? Or what else do we need to do to make the money, to answer the money question? And this is Amalati.
Thank you, Bernard. So I would say two things. First, it's not true that the money is not available. It's here. And if you look at where we have big pools of funding that could be deployed, it's pensions. What's missing is institutional grade enterprise funds that can take money from pensions. Pensions is risk averse, is conservative, because we're talking about our pensions. People want to see that money grow, not diminish. And so we are missing this layer of institutions that can take that money and turn it into these patient products that the ecosystem needs and deploy it. So at Impact Investing Ghana, for example, we are supporting efforts for a private sector-led fund of funds that can be a bridge between venture funds, accelerators, others that are agile on the ground, and institutional investors that do not have the capacity to access 1,000 little smaller funds. There's a need for innovation to bridge some of these gaps. And that one of these gaps is the one that I've mentioned. And there's also a need for more innovation in the delivery of capital. And we're beginning to see this even in the banking sector, where a lot of our banks are creating products now targeted at certain populations like women, and they will reduce the interest rates for the first loan. They are not doing this because they are being philanthropic. It's because they've recognized that when they do that and they get some of their women clients to begin to use the loan products, they're actually profitable. And so these are profitable products that have been designed and tested. And so what we are saying is that there needs to be more collaboration. There needs to be more of a value chain, a financial value chain approach to how we are unlocking capital. So we're very glad to see that the Development Bank Ghana, which is going to be one of the big initiatives this year to flow financing into MSMEs, is looking at non-bank financial institutions as a big chunk of where it will be deploying capital. But we need to create those institutional grade organizations that can stand the test of time and deliver real value. And that's what we're working on.
So I'm hearing the same thing from three different angles. Nelson says, we are working on an enterprise value chain approach. Amos says we need coherence. We need a systems level approach and not a project approach. Amma says we need a value chain approach. So everybody is saying let's work together. Okay, that's fine. But somebody has to bring people together. All right? Somebody has to bring people together. The money people, the training people, the SMEs themselves, government. So Amaji and Nelson, before I come to Kosi, do you agree that, okay, we all agree we have to work together. Whose responsibility to say, let's get everybody talking? Is it the finance ministry? Who is it? Because we need to know who to tell that, here's our resolution, now you go and bring everybody together. Amajampo.
Yeah, I think the Ministry of Finance, our Ministry of Finance, is already taking a more coordinated approach to these things. I know MasterCard Foundation and other organizations like the World Bank, etc., are looking to have a more coordinated approach to entrepreneurship. I mean, everyone's doing entrepreneurship development, youth and engagement. There are so many initiatives across various ministries. There's a lot of silo working. But I think that is changing. I think there is a bit of a mandate from the funders to have a more coordinated approach. So it's happening. I mean, for the entrepreneurial value chain approach, you know, some of us are working on that particular project. Impact Investing Ghana, some of us collaborated to form this organization together to just bring it all together and have a bit more visibility in terms of who the investors are, who the entrepreneurs are, who the support organizations are. So it's happening. I think in terms of policy and the high level, yes, maybe the Ministry of Finance can do a little bit more to talk money and figure out how we as ecosystem support organizations in particular can, you know, be beneficiaries of such investments, to link up ourselves to maybe milestone-based financial support, to tie in some of our organizational development metrics to what we are able to achieve together. So I think that there's a lot of opportunity for us to kind of, get more structured, more coordinated, and really talk the money. We all know the gaps. We've all sat around tables and done things together. We've all bidded for contracts together and, you know, expressed interest in, bids here and there, but it needs to be more coordinated. We do need to have very frank and open conversations about money and the kinds of funding that are available to private sector initiatives like Impact Investing Ghana, like the entrepreneurial value chain approach, to ensure that we can actually reach more people and even build the capacity of people like Kosi's organization and their local public sector initiatives like the Ghana Enterprise Agency to deliver really well-connected initiatives that will enable more people to access information, pursue the right opportunities, feed into value chains and opportunities to enable them to end their livelihoods and create more jobs and opportunities for themselves.
Nelson, I've known you to be in this space even before our university days. So you've been working in this space for a long time. I was reading something on social media yesterday where somebody was complaining that the incubators and the hubs and the organizations like yours seem to attract more funding than the real startups and SMEs who really need the money. So essentially they're saying things are not going well for us, the people who really need the money, and you, the guys who talk about us and try and build our capacity, are getting all the support. So I just want to ask you, have you seen, can you point to progress? Is there success? Do these things work? This approach to training SMEs, giving them all the tools and all these things. Do we have any examples of companies that have gone through this thing who are really doing well now that we can say, if you want an example of what $1,000 can do over 3 months, look at this guy or look at that guy?
Okay, so that's a very good question. To answer that, I would refer to a recent report by GALI. So GALI is a global accelerator learning initiative that had a report, and the question of the report was, does acceleration work? And this was a global study that they did across accelerators all over the world. One of the salient points of the report is that acceleration can work, particularly when accelerators are able to invest in the businesses that they support. And if you look at successful accelerators like Y Combinator and what have you, they could say you come in, we're going to support you to grow, build the systems, and we're going to put in about $100,000 in the business. And we're not going to support you for 6 months and then go on the market now looking for funding for you. So there is a clear case where there's a need for funding for the support, and there's a need for the accelerator to be able to invest in some of these ventures. It could be the very early stage, the first 20K that this business needs. I mean, there are times when you do all the things for the business and you go to the fund and it says, well, the business needs only 50K. I could only do minimum of 500K. So there's a clear disconnect. And you don't have that early stage funding. Whereas other markets talk about missing middle, in Ghana, we actually have missing early and missing middle. So there's nobody doing that 10K, 20K tickets, nobody doing the 100K, 150K tickets. And the funds are saying, I want from $500,000, from $1 million. I engaged the fund just about a week ago for one venture, and he says, well, we can only get it from $7.5 million. And this guy needs just about $500,000. So there are clear challenges at the base. So once these enterprise photo agencies are doing their work and supporting, until we're able to fix the early stage financing challenge in Ghana and then the middle stage, much of the work really gets to a point where you yourself, you're frustrated because you do everything and there's nobody puts in the fund into the business. And that's a challenge we have on the market now.
All right. Now, Kosi, you've spoken to me about the partnerships you've struck. You've spoken about the policies implemented and the jobs and things you're trying to create. What I want you to do is to boast and tell me, in the 4 years, what has been your top 3 most important outcomes? Not outputs, I'm talking about outcomes. What have you succeeded in achieving, which we can hold and say, give these guys more money, give them more time, because they are solving our unemployment problem?
Okay, I think that there are a lot of things we've been able to achieve. So even asking for 3 years too little. First of all, I think there's certain fundamental things that we've been able to achieve. One is even the transformation of the institution from National Board for Small Scale Industries to Ghana Enterprises Agency. Why do I say that? Because the old act limited what we were able to do and how we were able to work. That act also has in it the setup of an MSME fund that will support the sector that we are all talking about. And so already we're in talks with the World Bank. We've done a survey of partners and working with them to see how it can and it should be implemented. Secondly, what we've been able to achieve is the CAP Business Support Scheme. And I say this because through this project, the government's intervention and the President's flagship program, we were able to, for the first time, create a database of 900,000 plus businesses that we didn't know existed in the nation. So with this database, we're able to better understand what the landscape looks like. I hear a lot of conversation about access to finance. And it's also important to know that during this COVID time, through our partnership with both government and also the MasterCard Foundation, the Nkoswa Fund that was set up under the MasterCard Foundation intervention, as well as what we're doing, people access funds that they would never have ever had the opportunity to ever access. And if you look at the data and the number of female women-owned businesses that for the first time were able to access funding they wouldn't have, it's amazing. More than 50%, 60 to 70% of the beneficiaries were women. What we were able to decipher from the data is that yes, there are more women. Maybe they are asking for lower values of funding. So how do you deal with it? However, due to COVID and through this pandemic, they were now able to access funding they would never have been able to do. And that's a major intervention. What we've been successful at doing is also being able to use technology to actually pilot and implement an access to finance component that takes away a lot of fraudulent activities, takes away the intervention of direct human contact to be able to give people access that they wouldn't also have. What have we been able to also achieve? Also, with regard to our partnership with the Food and Drugs Authority, now we have this progressive licensing. And through support from MasterCard Foundation, we have over 1,000 products. Please bear that in mind. It seems small if you look at the country, but the number, there's never been an intervention under Food and Drugs Authority for women-run businesses that have had this impact. Also considering that you're also targeting persons with disabilities and others who would not have had this access before. What have we also achieved? We improved and increased our spread across the nation, never seen before. Increased our budget for as little as a few $1,000s to almost 1 billion cedis in interventions targeting MSMEs, never seen before. And so in the 4 years, what we've been able to achieve, which we're still leapfrogging on, to create employment numbers. I mean, our numbers and data does not lie. The people come to you and they tell you, and this afternoon, I was actually very excited to see a group of women who came here under our partnership with the Apprenticeship to Entrepreneurship program and our MasterCard Foundation program, and saying that through the intervention, now we've really actually certified our products and we have created employment. And we hadn't called them, they just came to, as we say in our Kan language, obedi adansie. They came to give a
so
testimony.
can you tell us, are you able to tell us how many jobs have been created as a direct result of what you are doing?
Oh, yes, I can tell you. So approximately over 30,000 plus jobs. So those are jobs created. And then you also have MSMEs created, which is more than that to a higher level.
It would be nice to share a report with us so we can use that as a case. And again, because the finance ministry is being pointed to as the glue, I think your organization has a very critical role to play in all of this because you have the credibility and you are very well placed to support all the work of the ecosystem. And I don't know if you accept that challenge to take a lead role in building this ecosystem to make it deliver results.
I think that's the challenge we have now, and we've taken that challenge happily. And I think it's important to note that it's really interesting that MasterCard Foundation is on this call. I feel bad mentioning their name every second. Amos, forgive me. But we've been having this conversation for a year now, because in our new mandate really is to coordinate the MSME and entrepreneurship ecosystem. And so we've been working closely with MasterCard Foundation. We're working on a paper to set up a stronger coordinating unit for implementation. Because yes, broadly, the Ministry of Finance would have that policy direction. Ministry of Trade and Industry would have the policy. But when it comes to the implementation and ensuring it's happening, that is something that we take the challenge. And we're actually excited about that challenge. And we're in conversations with the MasterCard Foundation because it's also important for them. It's also important for the other partners. It's important for governments. Because if you're not able to really understand what is happening within the sectors, then you miss out on what type of jobs you're creating, what needed support is important. And one of the things we try to do at Ghana Enterprises Agency is not to allow for our partnerships to have standalones. So everything feeds into something. So that what we've learned from the Japanese through Kaizen is an intervention we apply under MasterCard Foundation programs to ensure the women are benefiting, to ensure that through the SNV programs that we've implemented, we're using that to focus on the agribusiness and climate change interventions that other partners might have. So nothing is really a standalone. It all feeds in, and it's through a strong coordination unit. And those are some of the things that ourselves and MasterCard Foundation and other partners are coming together to ensure their sustainability.
Great stuff. I think we have enough raw material to open the floor for live questions. But my takeaway is, I mean, the words are incredible. Integration. Okay, that's one word I hear. Collaboration. An enterprise value chain approach. It's another word I hear. We have to work together, but we have to work quickly. And I also hear flexibility. I think this panel has done justice to the topic. We will now revert to the Q&A session to see if we can get any questions. But if you just joined us, you've been listening to Amma Jampo. She's the CEO of Scale Up Africa. And Amma Latte is the CEO of Impact Invest in Ghana. Kosi Yankee Aye, whose voice you just heard before I spoke, is the CEO of the Ghana Enterprises Agency. Nelson Amu is the CEO of InnoHub. And Amos Odero is the CEO. No, you're not the CEO. You are not, right?
No, I'm not the CEO. I'm lead strategy and planning at MasterCard. Lead regional strategy and planning at MasterCard Foundation.
You're a big man at MasterCard. And Kosi, Amos is not complaining you mentioned their name. They are happy to hear their name. It tells me the work they are doing is going well. So thank you. My name is Bernard Abla. We'll come back shortly and take your questions. This is still the virtual Accra SDG Investment Fair under the auspices of the Ministry of Finance. Stay with us.